Well, we have had a very strong presence in musculoskeletal disease in both research and care for a number of decades. At Rush, our faculty was very much involved in the development of technologies so that for hip replacement, joint replacements, innovations in terms of the surgeries to turn them into much less invasive. So we have had leaders in minimally invasive surgery. And so our faculty has always been very, very collaborative in developing new approaches to treat musculoskeletal disease, because even with the progress that we've made and you've made, there's still an awful lot of people that suffer from these diseases collectively, and we have a lot more to do in both care and research in this area.
As far as I know, Rush Hospital is very top 6 in America for the orthopedic, right?
For orthopedic medicine,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Can you just explain how the Rush is very excellent on the spinal diseases?
Okay, so Rush has always had very strong orthopedic medicine. And this goes back to the fact that our faculty in bone and joint medicine 30 years ago decided to work together on both the basic science and the clinical sciences of bone and joint disease. And so there's been multidisciplinary basic science, material science, bioengineering, computational science, orthopedic medicine, rheumatologic medicine for 3 decades. So there's been a culture that has been very, very inclusive of trying to deal with bone and joint disease.
Last question. Is there research going on for the oriental acupuncture or musculoskeletal or manipulation of the herbal medicine going on in the Rush Hospital?
Okay, so acupuncture is delivered as a clinical service, okay? But how do you think acupuncture works?
Blood circulation?
So presumably, there are some kind of neurochemical or whatever signals that are being transmitted through muscle and joints. And presumably, the insertion of needles disrupts signaling in some way, shape, or form. Just as there's pacemakers in the heart, there's signals also between muscles that allows for movement of muscles, and in injury there's splinting of muscles that winds up scaffolding the body, so that if you have a bad back, there's contraction of certain muscles, and there's spasm, and there's pain reflexes. And a lot of this is mediated through calcium signaling. Now at Rush, we have very, very excellent researchers of the basic mechanism of calcium signaling. Now the signaling of nerves to muscle, muscle to nerve, because it's a two-way street, the molecular basis of that is through a lot of these ion channels. And so our faculty for a long time has also been involved in the measurement of this within single cells and understanding how calcium is regulated in cells, which has a lot to do with muscular contraction and nerve fiber signal transformation. And so we have been involved at a very fundamental level. Now there's other layers, because in many of these injuries there's an inflammatory response. Inflammation releases cytokines, which affects permeability and blood supply and stuff like that. And we have other investigators studying that, such as Dr. Chen, at a more molecular level. So we may not be researching acupuncture, but we're researching the molecular basis in which acupuncture is affecting individuals in a positive way. And at Rush, we're a small institution. We have a relatively focused areas of research excellence. But like in the last week or two, we have just found out that our faculty has had 2 papers accepted into Science, which is the most outstanding science journal in the world other than Nature. But we've had 2 faculty member teams also have articles this week in Nature. So we're very excited about Rush Research this week, because we've had 4 papers in the most outstanding journals that exist in the scientific sphere. And part of it related not to calcium signaling, but one of our faculty members defined the molecular mechanism in which hydrogen protons are transmitted through the body. And again, this has got a lot to do with regulation of control of bodily functions. And then we've also been involved with a Nature paper around embryonal stem cell research. And I know there's an interest in Korea in stem cell research. And then there's also involvement in orthopedic research, another science paper coming out about the immunological interaction with metal-on-metal joint prosthesis, which is a step beyond acupuncture in terms of managing bone and joint pains. And then there's other work in Alzheimer's that was also the subject of another science paper. So we are a small but very, very vibrant research community, and we look forward to working with your colleagues to see what we can do together to improve the pain and suffering related to bone and joint disease.